Los últimos 2 semanas en nuestro evangelio, los discípulos no entienden la mente de Dios. Pasado fin de semana, recuerden que en nuestro evangelio escuchamos la proclamación de Pedro. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Y inmediatamente después de esto, Jesus told him the same thing that he said in today's gospel that Mark gives us, that I'm going to be handed over, and after 3 days I will die, and after 3 days the Son of Man will raise. But in Mark's gospel, he doesn't pull him aside and chastise him, and so he's not called Satan in today's gospel. Pero hoy también los discípulos no entienden en total la mente de Dios. They weren't looking with the mind of God. They were looking to human things. They were distracted by the world around them. Kind of like when we get distracted in life. When we don't put Christ first in our life. We have all of these things as distractions. Jobs, games, sports, school, family. But if God isn't first, nothing else matters. Because when we die, when He calls us home, the Lord will remain. His love will remain. All of these things that we've allowed to occupy our minds and to distract us from Him are gone. Those don't matter. And yet, we allow them to shift our focus. We're distracted from what really matters. Just like the apostles in today's gospel. On the way to Capernaum, they were, instead of listening to what Jesus has said to them, they were arguing over who is more important. Si tienes hermanas, tenemos este mismo problema. ¿Cuál es más importante en su familia? Yo, sí, por supuesto. ¿Cuál es la favorita? Mí, yo, sí, por supuesto. Ivan o Brian? Si hay dos, si hay más que dos, ¿cuál es la más importante entre ustedes? Cada de ustedes piensan, yo estoy la más importante. Y por Dios, este pensamiento es bien, es válido. Because for God, each and every one of us is the most important person. It's not a competition. He has made you as He has made you, y es más que suficiente. Es perfecta. Si en la visión de Dios que somos perfectos, porque cuando we look at ourselves in the mirror, do we just see our imperfections? When we look at our lives, when we reflect back, do we just see our failures? For most of us, that's because we are a lot like the apostles in today's gospel. We aren't looking with the mind of God. We've been just so distracted from what really matters that we aren't just in the world, but we've allowed the world to lead us astray, to distract us from what really matters. You know, at times in life, as we hear in our first reading from the book of Wisdom, we are supposed to be challenged. That only when we are challenged can we grow. If everything is easy for you, you don't have to try anymore. But that's why every year in school, The math problems, the science questions, the history goes a little bit harder and a little bit deeper and a little bit more detailed. Not to try and make your life miserable, believe it or not, but because academic is trying to help us to become more well-rounded. Es muy similar en nuestra fe. Believe it or not, the same thing that you were taught in kindergarten, in first grade, in first communion, all the way through confirmation, even for adult classes, la proclamación de fe no cambia. What changes is the depth of conversation. That if I'm coming to talk with Luke, I'm not going to use big words. Why? Because his vocabulary in English is bigger than my vocabulary in Spanish. Y buena suerte. But with adults, with teenagers, we can use bigger words and deeper understandings to try and get our point across. And that's why sometimes Jesus spoke in parables, because when we are infants in our faith, stories help us understand the message. Just like art helps us envision what happened, stories, parables, help us to understand at a deeper level. And every time we hear a parable, depending on what's happening in our world and in our lives, we understand it a little bit differently. And that's okay. Because sometimes we have the capacity to go deeper. And sometimes we're tired. Sometimes we are at our capacity and we can't take anything else in. And that's okay too. But the Lord still invites us, as he did in our gospel today, to look at everyone we come into contact with the innocence of a child, and to greet them as Christ. You know, it was kind of funny at our Mass at 5 o'clock. We had a lot of little kids in this section right here, a lot of infants, and none of them were having it tonight. Because all of them, it's like, I have a microphone, I'm louder. But the parents were like, oh, lo siento, lo siento, lo siento. ¿Por qué? Es una niña, está bien. What do babies do when they're upset? They cry. What do we do when we're upset? We cry, and sometimes we cry out to God. Because we know that he will bring peace to us. As an infant knows that their mother or their father will bring peace to them eventually as well. So when Christ says to us in our gospel today that if you want to be the greatest, you must be the least and the servant of others, that whoever receives one child such as this in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not just me, but the one who sent me. That every person we come into contact is perfectly put there and is perfect in the eyes of God. We are the sinners, not God. We pray for certain things. Sometimes we pray out of our passions, as we hear of in our second reading. Sometimes we pray out of what we need. And God gives us what we need when we need it. The problem is we don't ask for what we need, we ask for what we want. We don't look at God as our creator, our redeemer, and our sanctifier. We look at him as our genie in a bottle. Genie Christ, give me my 3 wishes, please. Why does God hate me? He didn't answer my prayer how I wanted him to. God doesn't hate you. Your prayer may just not be what you need right now. Y esta respuesta está bien. And so, the Lord is giving us each the opportunity this night to look at ourselves in the mirror and to see how blessed our lives are. To give thanks to God for loving us, so much so that first of all we even exist. And then that we can even come to Mass freely. That we can have the clothes on our backs, the medicine to help us get better, rain that we've been praying for forever, it seems like. Even though tomorrow's the parish picnic and it's still supposed to rain. Be careful what you ask for. And yet, how do we serve the Lord? How do we allow him to love us so that we can then love each other? Poco a poco, cada día. Podamos cambiar poco a poco cada día. Un momento a un momento. Una oportunidad a una oportunidad. No total en un minuto, pero poco a poco. Con la ayuda de Dios, todo es posible. Si creen en esto, hoy su responsabilidad es para vivir esto en su vida.